Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. So, why the F am I called Tenkar? Right? Because, yeah, yesterday we had, what's the dipshit's handle? VP Apney. Or, I have no idea. I have no idea what those initials would even stand for, but whatever, right? Because he's obviously using his real name. So why is Eric Tenkar Eric Tenkar? Why am I not Eric Stina? Well, there's a history to it, and I'm going to go through it. But and I hope it makes sense to people. Okay, but reality is that I've been putting my true name on what I publish. Right, some sources which we like, but there's a timing thing that I got to go into. So, where does Tenkar come from? Well, um, honestly, it comes from a henchman that one of my party members had back in the early '90s. That then became a party henchman when the player dropped out of the group for a year or two, and then it kind of got like left behind, not really thought about as a name. Okay, it was a dwarven fighter, and then I got into playing EverQuest with my old gaming group, and I played a Dwarven Paladin as my main character, and of course Tenkar. Because I mean, the name was already there, right? I think years later I found out that there actually was already some Tenkar NPC in EverQuest. I never found a person. I never found a character, but in any case, so moving forward now, prior to me starting the blog, I had participated in two online forums fairly frequently that were non-game related. Uh, and on one, I used the name Wusha. Wusha was a verbal judo term that was being used back in my academy days. And on the police board, I was in the know because you want these cool names. So when it came time where 12 years ago, 12 and a half years ago, I was starting the blog. Well, actually, I guess the year before when I actually secured the name for it, I wanted something that sounded good, right? And what sounded good? Well, I wanted it to be a tavern, a place where people would hang out. And I needed that alliteration, like Dungeons and Dragons and Castles and Crusades, right? So it was like Tenkar's Tavern. Boom. Sounds great, but it had a different, another advantage. Okay, because yeah, I could have made it like Stina's Schlop House. Well, that would have been awkward to say, but the advantage was, um, I was in the NYPD at the time, right? I actually was working in internal affairs as a supervisor. I knew our computer guys, and I knew what they did. They monitored social media, right? Social media was starting to get bigger, biggish. They monitored forums, which is why you didn't have anything that came close to what was your real name. So that's how Tenkar's Tavern was born. And I became Eric Tenkar because didn't want my real name being linked to any social media presence, and the blog was a social media presence. And then came Google Plus, and I was already being known as Eric Tenkar. So if you're already going to be known as somebody, you might as well continue being known as it. So on Google Plus, I was Eric Tenkar. Then Facebook actually joined, I believe, after Google Plus, or if I did join Facebook prior, was not something I was using. Again, Eric Tenkar, and it's gonna be an interesting little transition later. So that's why, and honestly, probably about 4 months before I retired, I was working midnights, and my lieutenant comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, you're pretty wired in." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that sounds true. Why can't I find you on social media?" It's like, well, there's a reason why you can't find me on social media. Well, I know you have a social media presence. You're too wired in. I was watching, Great Courses Plus videos on my iPad during downtime, and I was wired in. I go, Lou, I can't help you. He goes, well, I'm looking you up and I can't find your social media purpose. It had already served its purpose. It had shielded my employer from finding out about my social media presence, right? And that was the whole point to it. I swing out for my 2 days. I come back and my mailbox in our office area has my dwarven persona plastered to it and taped and glued. And he's like, Tenkar! I'm like, Lou, I gotta get one question. He's like, what? Do I have to start new social media accounts? Because I'm leaving in 4 months. He goes, no. Because it took me a day and a half and some help from our tech guys to actually track you down. It was just my own curiosity. There's no open case. There was no job-related reason. And yeah, you're leaving, so now you're good. The job doesn't. The NYPD did not require me to have social media account in my legal name, and I certainly wasn't going to give them the opportunity to track me online. So now, fast forward a little bit. I am retired. I write Swords and Wizardry Light, and the question is asked to me, how do you want to be credited as? And I was like, well, that's a damn good question, because this is something that I've written, right? You want to be credited as who you are. And then the question becomes, well, who am I? In the gaming community, I'm Eric Tenkar. In my regular life, I'm Eric Stina, and it's not Stein, it's not Steiny, it's not Steeny, it's not Staney. Nobody ever pronounces it right. I've had 3 people pronounce my last name right in my life. So Tenkar's much easier for social media for people to get it right. So, again, it was a damn good question, and I was like, well, kind of like, let's split the baby down the middle. Because if I'm just Eric Stina on what I produce, nobody's going to know who the fuck I am. Who the hell is this guy Eric Stina? Oh, that looks like Stein with an X3. Okay. If I go Tenkar, I'm actually doing myself a disservice because I am writing product and I am not giving myself proper credit. So it became Eric, parentheses, Tenkar, last name Stina. So yes. So nobody needs to slap themselves on the back that you figured out what my last name was, because it's been out there for the last 4 or 5 years since Swords and Wizardry Light was released. I know Ken Whitman was putting out a social media request a couple of years ago to find me Eric Tenkar, find me his real name, because he knew it was my real name. And it's like, you dumb fuck. Just simply look at anything that I'd written and you would have known and seen it. So again, I can't award points for somebody coming on to this channel and spamming the channel with my last name and then daring me to delete their spammy posts, which you're going to get deleted because you've posted 10 times. So that's where the name comes from. And now people can be like, well, you've been retired now for what, 5 years? Why haven't you changed it? Are you going to go, hey, Stina, right now? Everybody goes, hey, Tenkar. Everybody knows Tenkar is a handle. I've gone to conventions. I've registered at conventions under my legal name, Eric Stina. And the response I usually get is somebody from the convention staff finding me later with my name badge with Tenkar as like your handle and going, I didn't realize you registered. I didn't know you were coming. If we don't, because they're not making that connection. I actually had that argument one time with Doug Ray at the North Texas RPG Con. He's like, what name is this? I go, it's my real last name. He goes, no, it isn't. It's Tenkar. I go, Doug, you were a cop. I go, would you have put at the time like your real last name on social media? I think Doug said, and, which I don't know if that's a clear answer or not, but like I said, that's the reason why. That's the reason why I entered the gaming community under a pseudonym. So if you call me Stina, I will be very surprised that you got my name right. Because out of the I guess, out of the bag, out of the box. I think 3 people have gotten my name right off of reading it, not being told how to pronounce it first, and that's in a lifetime of 54 years. So that's a long time to wait. But nobody screws up Tenkar. Everybody looks at Tenkar and they go, Tenkar. Although if I use it on a comp board, people look at it that are from my old job and they think it means special projects 10, number 10 car, SP10 car, the car that did the precinct assignments. And that's not where it came from. So that's the history. All right. I'm not hiding anything, but again, I happen to be known as Tenkar in the community, and I don't really see any reason to change it, but I'm not hiding it. Okay? I'm not hiding in any of that. So Dickless that thinks he accomplished something great, you didn't accomplish anything that wasn't already out there. But you can slap yourself on the back because you did the minimal amount of research to find out publicly available information. So there you go. And I'm making sure that you all know the how, the why, where it came from. Nothing special to it other than, well, it wasn't like it was my first email address. My first email address was Rickus Rick. Rickus from, was it the Crimson Pentad or whatever it was, the first Dark Sun series of books? And Rick from Eric. That was my old AOL, which is long since rotted. So, folks, thank you for listening to me ramble. I do appreciate it. Beyond that, we are still in the midst of the world of the pandemic. Please use your common sense. All right, we'll leave it at that. Be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, and God willing, Bad Mike and I are back tomorrow with a Talking Crit live stream, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Look forward to seeing you. Laters.